I haven't really thought this whole video through, but I'm just gonna riff. And this is probably more for myself to kind of look back on, but I'll throw it up on my YouTube just because I think it's kind of interesting. Um, so personalities, different aspects of your own personality, not a multiple personality thing. You know, that's different. But I think we all have different aspects of our personality. So I think being able to be identifying those different aspects of your personality and maybe and naming them helps you kind of identify when each aspect of your personality kind of shows up. So for me, I was just thinking about it this morning. I've been thinking about this, different aspects of the personality for a long time. Tony Robbins talks about your higher self versus your lower self. There's a book called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, which is a great book that talks about the different archetypes within your personality. I had a call a couple weeks ago with a guy named Eric Godsey that is really big into talking about the different archetypes. So here's kind of what I just had. I've been thinking about this a while, but I really just kind of had like I don't know if an epiphany is the right word, but this morning just kind of sitting doing my meditation on my porch, my balcony there, the kind of how to name and really identify the different aspects of my personality. And the reason that's important is because sometimes some aspects of your personality get a little out of control and run the show, which, sometimes that's good, but like you don't want it to be always running the show. So because there's other parts that are probably should be running the show more often. So for me, here's kind of how I name. I'm gonna start to name them because of the epiphany I had this morning. But so obviously my name's Patrick, and so Pat is the aspect of my personality that loves numbers, loves data, overanalyzes at times. Is very analytical, can need way too much data before he can make a decision and actually take action. But he's a great part of my personality. Pat, he's very logical. He needs to see the numbers. He needs to think things through. So I love having that aspect of my personality. I think he's such an important part of who I am. And then there's Rick. Rick is in the moment, whereas, Pat is a total introvert and a numbers guy and has to think everything through all the time and, maybe over analyzes and overthinks things. Where Rick is in the moment, total extrovert, loves being around people, doesn't worry about the future or think about the past. He's fully immersed in what is happening around him and is in love with that, whatever that is. The people he's with, the nature, if he's on the lake, on the water, if he's playing some sports, if he's just having a conversation, like he is fully in love with that, and he feels that gratitude for life. And I love that aspect of my personality too. And then there's Patrick, who I, that's who I truly am. And I kind of look at Patrick as I'm the one that's kind of this wise, stoic king that kind of oversees all these, different parts of the personality, oversees the kingdom and is able to, make sure everyone is heard, and make sure that not one person is overrunning the whole kingdom. But if he needs to, if I need to, pull one of those aspects aside and have a conversation with Pat and make sure he feels heard and seen, I'll do that. If I need to have a conversation with Rick, I'll do that. And I think, also Patrick, is the one that's the bridge between all the different aspects of my personality, of the kingdom, and something bigger than me. I think, and that is who I truly am. That's the witness to all the different parts of me, all the different thoughts and emotions and things that come up. from all the different aspects of my personality. I can see that. I witness that. I decide. I'm the one that decides like who to bring forth. Whose actions to take. I'm the one that also is connected to something that's bigger than myself. Whatever you want to call that, whatever that is for you. But I kind of think of it as a visual example would be. I feel like this pull that goes through me from like the bigger thing all the way wherever that is for you, through me all the way through my heart, down through my root, all the way into the center of the earth. And that Patrick, that king, that wise king, that pull is always there no matter what. No matter how antsy or worried these different aspects of my personality could get and the emotions that come along with that, no matter what is going on, that pull, that root is always there, connected to something bigger than me. And I love having that bridge, that Patrick, that witness, that wise king that can see all the stuff that's going on in the kingdom, but also is rooted to something bigger. So other aspects of my personality that show up at times. So my middle name is John. I also have a nephew, John, who's 10 years old right now. And so John to me is my inner child. And we all have, aspects of our personality that are, things that might have happened when we were kids that are still part of our psyche. And our psyche is just all of this, the all-encompassing, all the different aspects. So within your psyche, there's probably, part of you that has some things that might have happened. Maybe you got laughed at as a kid or got embarrassed about something or whatever happened, you carry that up with you. There's that inner child within you that, still is worried about what other people think or someone hurting them or whatever it is. So for me, that inner child is John. And it's cool because I get to work with my nephews at times, with mindfulness and seeing when when they're worried about being embarrassed. So for me, I think my inner child is really attached to, worrying about, being embarrassed or, people laughing or making mistakes or losing that love and respect from the adults or your friends because you make a mistake or do something that, people laugh at you for or whatever it is. So I still have that inner child in me, John, that shows up at times. And, like if I'm about to give a big speech and John's like worried that, he's afraid to go on stage or get in front of the crowd or something, that's when Patrick can come in and that's when, Rick can come in and we can talk, to John and let him know, hey, we got your back. Like give John a hug, let him know that he's seen. Instead of letting John take over and run the whole kingdom as this little child that's like afraid or, whatever it is, your inner child's like, maybe it's anger, whatever. Instead of letting that take over the kingdom, you get to see that inner child and give them empathy and compassion and see them for who they are and, but give them a hug, And I think that really allows them to kind of settle back down and feel safe and feel heard versus them just kind of running amok. So John is kind of that would be my inner child's, aspect of my personality. Trick. So we got Pat, we got Rick, we got Trick. I think Trick is, the one that at times is maybe could be cynical, could I would say, is the pessimist in a way a little bit. And maybe more like I think Pat is very logical. I wouldn't call him a pessimist. I think he's logical. Whereas like Rick's the total optimist. Like he's just like, sometimes in la la land, which is great. I think that's awesome. But then, Pat kind of, I think, and Patrick, me, the king, I can, bring everything in back to earth, But I would say Trick is like sometimes he doesn't show up too often, but when he does, he can be cynical and, try to play tricks on the rest of the people in the kingdom. And, So I gotta, as me, the king, Patrick, I gotta keep Trick, in line. I gotta, see when he shows up, see when he's messing with some of the other people in the kingdom, and if I gotta have a conversation with Trick, I'll do that. A lot of times that's during my meditations and things like that. So that's Trick, and Trick's, I think he's a trickster, but I think he's also, I think he's also like a diehard competitor. I think he wants to win at all costs. Hates to lose. Is not a good loser. Think he hates to lose more than he likes to win. And when he loses, like it's not fun to be around. So I gotta keep him in check. But I also, as me, the king, Patrick, who I get to see Trickster and I get to use him, and not use him, but I get to call on him and say, hey, this is your time to shine. Like it's time let's bring this competitiveness back in. Let's fucking like dominate right now. But then I got to make sure that he's not gonna be too nasty of like a competitor. That's like going to hurt other people's feelings or, that kind of thing. So, or, like bend the rules in the game. Like Trick, he wants to win at all costs. And if he has to, like, he's going to bend some rules. And, if the ref's not looking, try to get away with some things. Trick, I think I got to call on him at times. I love calling on him, for certain things. But I also got to make sure I keep him in check, as well. So, and then my last name obviously is Realman, real man. So there's an aspect of me that's kind of like, I would say, that real man or that warrior that is very committed to whatever it is the king has like told him to be committed to. That's where the work ethic and that drive and that consistency of showing up no matter what else is going on, that warrior, that real man aspect of my personality doesn't take breaks. Doesn't matter what the hell's going on in my life. Doesn't matter who's in the kingdom is like bitching and moaning or what the hell's going on. That warrior never takes a day off. And, I think that's such a huge advantage to have that as part of my personality and for me to be able to call on. I think sometimes he can get a little bit out of control where he doesn't like when we take days to just do nothing. He always thinks there's got to be something I need to be doing and need to be working on and need to be accomplishing and need to be growing and need to be doing my mission in life. And so if I need to pull that warrior aside, which I like to think of it as like Michael Jordan, because he was like, as a kid growing up, he was the guy that was the warrior that had, was with his work. He worked out harder than anybody. He practiced harder than anybody. He was the ultimate warrior when it came to sports. So for my workouts, I call on, if I don't feel like working out, I call on real man. I call on the warrior, MJ. I love being able to call on that aspect of my personality. It's such an advantage. But I also got to talk to that aspect and say, hey, yo, MJ, or, real man, warrior, today we're going to chill. Today's Rick's day to just fucking be out on the paddleboard, out on the river with others, just fully immersed in nature and in other people, asking them questions, getting to know them. Today is not the day maybe we can let you go to town like this morning on the workout and crush the workout. But then, hey, I need you to take a little back seat today and let, the rest of the kingdom kind of flourish and get their time, away from the grind. So I love that I have that aspect I can call on to grind it out. But I love that I can be at me, the king, Patrick, I can talk to real man and be like, yo, all right, time to take a step back here. And I think the more the conversations I have with the different aspects, the more I'm able to call on them when I want them to show up. And the more I'm able to I think they can respect my opinion as like this wise, kind of overseeing king that's connected to bigger than something than just who they are, and connected to bigger something bigger than just me. So that's kind of the different aspects of the personality for me that I think, I think sometimes if we don't check those things, and again, like this is all just made up, obviously, right? But I think it really helps. I think it really helps to kind of think of yourself and the different aspects of your personality this way, and give them different names, because we all have different parts of us that want different things, and have different personalities and different ways of looking at things. And so, I think you got to be able to feed all of them. You can't let, if you start to let somebody starve, they start to get a little, they start to kind of what's the word? They get mad, at the king. If the people that in the kingdom aren't being fed, and these people over here are rich and have all the food and money, but like this side of the kingdom is poor and has no food, there's going to be some issues going on in the kingdom. So as a king, you gotta, keep order, and make sure everyone is being heard and everyone's being fed, to keep that harmony in the kingdom. But at the same time, the king also knows that there's more to life than just this kingdom. There's a power, there's an energy that's bigger than this kingdom, and so that having that wise king or queen, to be there to kind of oversee everything and be that bridge between the kingdom and that higher power is super important. And being able to use that king and be that king or that queen, to have those conversations with the pupil in the kingdom is huge. It's huge. Keeps harmony, and it keeps you focused on this stuff, your body, your soul, your mind, but the bigger stuff too, like the higher power. So there you go, the multiple personalities, but just the different aspects of the personality. So hope that was helpful. This was kind of more for me to just kind of riff and get it all out, kind of instead of journaling. I figured I'd make a video as a kind of a video journal. So all right, talk to you guys soon.